Hello friends, so today we will talk about Norma basalis, its middle part. In last video I talked about the anterior part of Norma basalis, so let's get started with the middle part now. Norma basalis middle part is further divided into median part and lateral part. Initially we will start with median part and we will see the features and the structures that are present in the median part of the middle part of Norma basalis. And the first structure, that is vomer, that it separates. We can see vomer in the given diagram that is below the written part, that it separates the two nasal apertures. Like, what's the purpose of having a vomer bone? It's just like it separates the two posterior nasal apertures and its inferior border. So in the second diagram that is exactly parallel to the writing part, we see it consists of four borders, that's interior border, inferior border, and posterior border and superior border. The inferior border articulates with the bony palate, and the next one is the superior border. The superior border split into the two ali. We can see this thing in the diagram that is in the corner. So when we see vomer from the superior border, that we see that it splits into two ali and it articulates with the rostrum of the sphenoid. So what is palatino-vaginal canal? To understand this, first of all, look at the given diagram. On the right hand side, the second structure is marked as a medial pterygoid plate, and medial pterygoid plate has a vaginal process that is marked inferior to every other structure on the right hand side. So to understand what is palatino-vaginal canal, it is that the inferior surface of the vaginal process of the medial pterygoid plate is marked by an antero-posterior groove. So these structures marked by an antero-posterior groove, that groove is converted into palatino-vaginal canal because it is covered by the sphenoid process of the palatine bone that we can see marked on the left hand side of the diagram at third number. So now you can understand what is palatino-vaginal canal and how can we relate its position with medial pterygoid plate, vaginal process of sphenoid, and the sphenoidal process of the palatine bone. So next is, what is vomer vaginal canal? To know this, like same thing that we did before, we should know the position of the medial pterygoid plate that can be seen on the right hand side of the diagram, and ala of vomer that is on the left side of the diagram. We can say ala of vomer. So to understand what is vomer vaginal canal, we should know that the lateral border of each of the ala of the vomer comes in relationship with the medial pterygoid plate and they overlap each other to enclose or to form a vomer-vaginal canal. So what is vomer-vaginal canal? That is the lateral border of the each ala of vomer comes in relationship with the vaginal process of the medial pterygoid plate and it may overcome it from above to enclose the vomer-vaginal canal. So what is pharyngeal tubercle? The broad bar of the bone is marked in the median plane by the pharyngeal tubercle, a little in front of the foramen magnum. We'll study the lateral part of the middle part of Norma basalis. The lateral part of the middle part of the Norma basalis can be studied into two parts, or the lateral part shows two parts of the sphenoid bone. First is pterygoid process and second is the greater wing. We can see both, so the pterygoid process is further divided into lateral plate and medial plate that we can see in yellow color in the diagram, and the greater wing is shown by red color. Pterygoid process. So first of all, we will know what is from where the pterygoid process project. So first of all, the pterygoid process project downwards. From where? From the junction of greater wing and the body of the sphenoid behind the third molar teeth. So where these two things meet, these two structures, that is the greater wing and the body of the sphenoid behind the third molar teeth, that is the place from where the pterygoid process projects downwards. Inferiorly, the pterygoid process is divided into, as I told you before, is divided into medial and lateral plates, which is fused together interiorly, but it is separated posteriorly by the pterygoid fossa. Like on the back side, on the posterior side, medial and lateral plate are separated, and on the interior side they are fused together, and we can see in the third given picture it shows the pterygoid fossa on the posterior side, and on the second diagram we can see the interior view where the medial and the lateral plates fuse together. So next is, what is scaphoid fossa? The scaphoid fossa or the scaphoid fossae are the two oval shallow depressions that found along the posterior aspect of the right and the left medial plates of the pterygoid process of the sphenoid bone. As we studied pterygoid process, the scaphoid process is present along the pterygoid process. It is as simple as that. So now we will study pterygoid humellus. As we can guess from the name that it is a part of pterygoid process. Which part of the pterygoid? Medial pterygoid plate. So pterygoid humellus is a hook-like process at the lower extremity of the medial pterygoid plate of the sphenoid bone. So now we'll study the infratemporal surface of the greater wing of sphenoid. So as we know that the lateral part of the middle part of the Norma basalis consists of two parts, as we studied before, that one part is pterygoid process. We have learned all about pterygoid process. Now we will study about the greater wing of sphenoid. So which part of the greater wing of sphenoid we are going to study? That is infratemporal surface. So when we see the infratemporal surface of the greater wing of sphenoid, first of all it is pentagonal, and as we can study from the diagram that its interior margin forms the posterior border of the inferior orbital and the anterolateral margin forms the infratemporal crest, and the posterolateral margin articulates with the petrous temporal, or we can say the petrous part of the temporal bone. And on anteromedially, it continues with the pterygoid process and with the body of the sphenoid bone. This is all what we need to know about the infratemporal surface of the greater wing of sphenoid. Next is foramen ovale. So it is a large oval-shaped foramen that is situated on the posterolateral to the upper end of the posterior border of the lateral pterygoid plate. So its location is related to lateral pterygoid plate. Which part of the lateral pterygoid plate? That is the posterolateral to the upper end of the posterior border of the lateral pterygoid plate. Next foramen is foramen spinosum. Foramen spinosum is small and circular in shape, and it is situated posterolateral to the foramen ovale. Foramen of Vesalius, and it is also called emissary sphenoidal foramen, and it is present occasionally. And so the foramen of Vesalius is a variable and a small bony passage that is located in between foramen ovale and the foramen rotundum in the greater wing of the sphenoid bone. And we can see both foramen rotundum and the foramen ovale in the given diagram on the right hand side. Canaliculus innomentus. So first of all, it is situated in between foramen ovale and foramen spinosum, and it allows the transmission of the lesser petrosal nerve. So next is what is sulcus tubi. To understand this, first of all we need to understand that the lateral half of the margin of the greater wing articulate with the petrous portion of the temporal, and it form a furrow, that is sulcus tubi, and it is for the lodgement of the cartilaginous part of the auditory tube. So what we can understand, that is the lateral half of the margin of the greater wing articulate by the means of synchodroisis with the petrous portion of the temporal, and between the two bones of the undersurface of the skull is a furrow that is called sulcus tubi for the lodgement of the cartilaginous part of the auditory tube. Thank you so much for watching this video. Do like, share and subscribe.